Hello and welcome. In this unit, we'll discuss behavior. Our goals in this unit are 1. To understand the law applicable to behavior, and 2. To have a discussion of how behavior issues can be addressed. But first, let's define what we mean by behavior. When I say behavior, what do you think about? Chances are you thought of one of two general big picture ideas. Behavior is another word for saying discipline, and behavior is another word for what happens in a classroom. That is, actions a student does in a classroom that cause a disruption or impedes the learning environment. In this unit, we're going to discuss both. But first, let me just say that if your child is experiencing a discipline issue, you should look for legal advice or assistance. It's important for you to fully understand your rights and how discipline proceedings work, especially in an expulsion context. So let's begin with a discussion of the law, focused on the first aspect of behavior, which is discipline. Now, we don't often discuss the California Constitution when discussing special education, but here we are, because it's the Constitution that identifies maximizing the education opportunities of all children as a compelling public interest. That is, the California Constitution says that we, as a state, must ensure that all students are educated. This is not conditional on a student being well behaved. So let's discuss the options for discipline available to schools. Let's begin with detention. Detention is probably the most common discipline used by schools. Detention basically means that the student is detained by the school, most likely the teacher, to do extra assignments or duties as a way to punish a student's behavior or actions. If you're familiar with The Simpsons, the animated TV show, this is basically what Bart Simpson is doing at the beginning of each episode. He's being detained by the teacher and is tasked with writing, "I will not do this or that again" on the chalkboard. Although students may be given detention, they cannot be deprived of their education. For example, a student may be held after class, but should still be allowed to participate in all class activities. In addition, a few rules apply. 1. A student should not have to remain in school during lunch or recess. 2. A student should not be detained for more than 1 hour after the end of the school day. And 3. A student should not be required to perform any work or services that could be bad for their health. Now let's discuss suspensions. This is when a student is removed from a class or a school temporarily. For students with disabilities, suspensions should include a manifestation determination. We're going to discuss manifestation determination in a later unit, but for now, know that a manifestation determination is a process by which we see whether the behavior that occurred is a manifestation of the student's disability, or that it's caused by the student's disability. Suspension has several rules also. 1. Suspensions may be given by a teacher, but more likely a principal. 2. Suspension can only be given for a certain number of acts, including injuring someone or damaging property. And 3. Suspensions cannot be given for being late. 4. There's a limit to how long a student can be suspended. A teacher may suspend a student for up to 2 days, and a principal may suspend a student for up to 5 days. And 5. The total days a student may be suspended should not exceed 20 school days in any school year, or 30 days if the student transfers between schools. However, some districts have policies that limit the number of days a student can be suspended. At the time of this unit was recorded, the Los Angeles Unified School District had a policy of suspending students for a maximum of 10 days. Suspensions don't require a formal hearing, but students do have a right to an informal conference with the principal, and a school should attempt to notify the student's parents if the student is suspended. The student's parents should be notified in writing. The last option for discipline is expulsion, which is when a student is removed from school for up to a year. An expulsion is triggered by a recommendation by a school principal or superintendent. Once a student is recommended for expulsion, an actual hearing must be held within 30 days. Expulsion usually involves either zero-tolerance offenses, such as bringing a firearm to school, or limited discretion offenses, such as possession of drugs. The entire list of offenses can be found by looking up the site that appears on your screen. Without getting into the details of the expulsion hearing, I do want you to know that it will be an actual hearing where you will be allowed to present evidence and actually question witnesses. There are specific timelines that the district must follow to give you notice and to decide the expulsion hearing. We will not cover expulsion in detail here because it is a severe form of discipline and parents should seek legal advice immediately.